What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Game Show presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my current co-host, Joey Wright. What's up, Joey? You've been
Not much.
You getting as always now?
Am I getting as always? I kind of got a little tickle in my heart when you said that. So. I'm happy to be here 5 days this week. That's super, super awesome.
It's been a lot of fun, guys. Also joining us today, another member of the Front Yard fam. We've got Tim Wright on with us. Tim, how's it going?
Oh, I'm stressing out. I'm feeling great. Ready to draft, man. I'm right on the edge. I'm going to freak out.
Guys, and joining us as well as special guest and friend of the show, we've got Matt Ward on with us, a.k.a. Psych Ward FF on Twitter. He is the lead writer at Brodo Fantasy Football and the director of content over at the Dynasty Football Factory, DFF. Matt, thank you so much for joining us today, my man.
Oh, man, thanks for having me. I'm absolutely honored to be here.
Man, and I'm seeing all these comments coming in on our YouTube that are not showing up over here in StreamYard. So I'm going to try to figure out what's going on with that real quick. Figure that out. Guys, today we are doing a third round reversal mock draft. Joey, while I'm figuring this out, you want to let people know what the heck third round reversal is if they haven't done one before?
When the third round comes around, you have to turn around backwards in your chair. And then it's a third round reversal. No, so normally a snake draft goes, if you're picking the 101, on the second round, you'll pick the 212. With the third round reversal, that 12th pick gets the first pick of the third round. Well, normally they get the last pick of the third round. So it's a third round reversal.
It's a lot of fun. I like them. Changes up so much.
It changes the strategy a lot. You get a lot of unique builds with it too because of a third round reversal.
I'm terrified of these things. A little confession is the first third round reversal that I've ever done in my elongated fantasy career is for the Scott Fish Bowl.
Same.
Nice.
That was also my
They're scary.
Third round reversal.
So naturally I took 112 because
and that's what I was going to say next. I love third round reversal drafts. If I'm drafting from the 10, 11, 12 spot, man, then I think it is the preferred format. Like if you give me the 11th pick, then absolutely it should be third round reversal. But if you give me the third pick, then no, it's the worst. It's unfair and absolutely cheating for the people picking at the end. So I'm not above admitting that my opinion on it changes on my draft spot. We got some people in the chat ready for today's show. We got it working now. Craig, what's up? And he said, "Hi, Tim." Just a hello to Tim today.
Wow.
I was in the chat last night. So I was the first person waiting for this show.
Oh.
So I think that's what that's for, Craig. Love
Guys,
it.
Craig, while we're on the topic of Craig sent me something that showed up in the mail today.
oh my.
We have the devil himself, the bringer of pain, the harbinger of doom. The Arby's oven mitt now lives at my home. Grimace, watch out. You're not the only mascot that belongs to a member of FYF now. We got this going on right now.
If you just mention something on the show, will Craig send it to you?
Only if you talk about
$1 million.
Who would win in a fight? $1 million or the Arby's oven mitt?
I mean, we could try it out because I have the mitt already.
yeah, I have the mitt. If only we had $1 million, we could get it to know.
Yeah.
And Craig wants everyone to know, chat, please know, despite the events of today, I'm still fully and forever 100% Grimace gang. You know what? I respect it, Craig. He said this has got to be a fair fight. We got to get the oven mitt somewhere else. If we're going to have the Grimace gang versus the oven mitt gang, Team Mitt. We're on Team Mitt over here. I know Scott Rainier's with me. And he said, Matt is one of my favorite people. Speaking of Scott Rainier, man,
Scott's one of my favorite people.
We love Matt. And then he shows up and he wears the coolest hat, has the best shirt and the coolest background out there on top of being an awesome person. Like you should just show up in a plain white t-shirt and you would still be the coolest one on stream.
Wait,
but God, that Blue Jays hat is just so sick.
Blue Jays
so like the band,
so
the plain white tees, or like an actual white t-shirt?
Both.
Like
I mean, if I showed up as the plain white tees, I think that would be a lot cooler.
all of them.
Pretty
Somehow
impressive.
you've managed to dress up as all of them at once. Dame in the chat. What's up, Dame? Welcome, man. And then we got You Can't Hang in here saying, yes, sir, let's go. What's up, You Can't Hang? Albert, good afternoon. Glad to have you
Hey,
in
Albert.
Here. And Mr. Scampers, happy Friday to you as well.
Cheers, Scampers.
Cheers. I'll cheers my water with you. And Joey's going to cheer his Java Monster, his new obsession.
They're good.
And then Jay said, yes, Matt wore the sick Jays hat. Everyone just loves the Blue Jays hat. Look,
That's
Scott
how
in here
people
talking
recognize
about
me
it
now.
as well. Carlos said, yeah, I signed up to mock, but have no idea what this means. Joey explained third round reversal, I'm assuming, while I jumped out of there for a second. Swamp says hi to Tim as well. What's up, Swamp? And Justin wants to know, is this SuperFlex or one quarterback? This is a one quarterback PPR draft. So this is just going to be one quarterback PPR. The lineups are going to be one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, a tight end, and then two flex spots as well. So two wide receivers, two flex, no kicker or defense. We're only going to draft 4 bench spots because of time constraints. Usually we would probably have an additional 2 rounds on there, 1 or 2 rounds, but I don't think 4 bench. There's leagues that play with that shallow of a bench. Absolutely. Carlos in here says also, I promise that I'm not trying to throw the draft off with my picks. I'm just trying different strategies. I only say this because of the guy I'm going to draft 1-1. That's what this is for.
That way.
That's what this time period is for. I've drafted way more teams that I hated this offseason than teams I liked, but it's helped me get a lot more comfortable. In my redraft leagues this year, man, I've left drafts feeling good with all the practice we've done over here. Yeah. Nothing throws me for a loop except for Pat taking Dameon Pierce in our first overall in our dynasty.
Oh my God.
That one got me.
I offered him Eckler for that 1-1 spot and he took Dameon Pierce. So
he took Dameon Pierce for Austin Eckler straight up. Wow. Just in a straight up trade. That guy chose Dameon Pierce. I mean, more power to you. If you believe, you believe, but that's not what I'm doing. Joey, you're the highest on Dameon Pierce.
Yeah, no. Like, listen, I'm high on Dameon Pierce, but I'm not high. So no, I am not taking Dameon Pierce over Austin Eckler. That's crazy.
Guys, like I mentioned, we are going to start that mock draft momentarily. Before we do that, though, a couple reminders. First and foremost, if not for the sick Blue Jays hat, go follow our guest Matt for his awesome fantasy football analysis. He's on Twitter at PsychWardFF. So make sure you're following him over there. After you do that, come back on over to this stream here on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoy what we're doing, and subscribe to our channel at Front Yard Fantasy is the easiest way to show your support for what we're doing over here. Guys, are you ready to get this mock started?
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it. This draft is starting. Right. Oh no, the sounds are playing in my ears. Sleeper updated their sounds and they scare me every time. I'm never ready for it. Justin Jefferson first overall.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, I love that.
Is anybody going to be taking Justin Jefferson first overall?
Well, I am not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it. I'm probably going Christian McCaffrey.
It's probably still McCaffrey.
Yeah.
But Jefferson should be the first receiver taken, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Jefferson's
which I would do as high as 1, 2, I guess. So.
Does anybody have Kupp over Jefferson at this point? Or is Jefferson still the number 1 wide receiver? Matt, what about you?
Yeah, it's Jefferson. And a part of the reason is the new offense that they're bringing in. It's the offense that Kupp was on last season. And I also am really high on Kirk Cousins as a pure passer. So, yeah, I don't even think we've seen Justin Jefferson's ceiling as a player yet.
Okay. I agree with you on that. Simon drafted Jamar Chase. I thought he was texting someone.
No,
who should I take, Joey?
There are 6 players. I like the 6 spot because there's 6 players like that I want to grab. Like one of those. Sorry, let me start that sentence over. There are 6 players that I love having at the beginning of drafts. So I'll take that 6 spot where they're all in the same tier. And it doesn't always happen this way, but the 5 of the 6 players that I would want were the 5 players drafted before me. A lot of times we see Derrick Henry in that mix as well, or see one of the other wide receivers fall instead of Austin Eckler, and I've got my choice. But this time, because 5 of the 6 players I would want in that spot were taken, it was an easy Jamar Chase. He's my wide receiver. He's my wide receiver 3 this year.
So I did a pretty deep dive on Jamar Chase. I disagree with taking Jamar Chase top 3 wide receiver.
Wow.
Okay.
So looking at the past, looking at the past 5 seasons, I never do this, so we're going to do this for fun.
Beautiful.
But looking at the past 5 seasons, Jamar Chase, his average points below his average points and his average points above his average points. I know it's kind of weird, but his good games and his bad games, he averages 9.9 points in his bad games, and he had 10 of those games. He had a 20-point differential between his top ceiling, right? So he is the number 2 person in the past 5 years to have a differential that high. And that's part of the reason he makes me so nervous. I'm not willing to take that risk that early. He's more of a second-round player for me, but that's just my opinion. But it's kind of scary when you look at the numbers like that.
So, yeah. Tim, if you were to draft Jamar Chase, would you be, with your next wide receiver, would you be shooting for someone with like a really safe floor then?
Yeah, I would for sure. actually what I would be leaning on in that situation is because he's much lower in my rankings and he's honestly consensus top 3 redraft receiver.
Pretty much.
I would look at one of those receivers in the 3rd round and then pick a team and look for a trade, right? Trading is a lot of fun in fantasy. So I would look for that and then maybe get an extra piece. So if I think CD's going to finish a better season, Stephon, I think is going to have a fantastic season, went back to back. That's totally fine. But I've seen Stephon go way further down in the draft. So I'd be looking to make a trade if I'm in that spot. Yeah.
Beautiful.
That Diggs pick at 1-7 really kind of forced my hand too. Going like I would usually never double up on running backs on a turn like that. Like that's just something that I don't do in my drafts because I like going wide receiver heavy for the most part. So I think Diggs at 1-7 is actually a phenomenal pick.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I said there's a top 6, but if you look at my rankings and they're tiered out, there actually is a top 4 that's in tier 1 for my wide receivers. And Stephon Diggs is that 4th guy that I have in a tier. Like I view them in a similar value range to Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, and Justin Jefferson in reverse order for me, with Diggs being the 4th guy. Maybe it's just because I didn't have him there that I don't consider him in that spot whenever I'm looking at guys that I want to take. And it's a new thing that he's in that tier for me, but I've got no issue with taking Stephon Diggs up there after Justin Jefferson's off the board.
Yeah.
Like, know what I mean? If you want to take Stephon Diggs as the 2nd wide receiver off the board, I don't hate it. I'm fine with that because I think he has that upside. Ooh, and man, you guys are going to let me start. You guys are going to let me start Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb. Like that's hot.
Awesome.
This is a sexy start.
Sexy.
Yeah.
Matt, I want to ask you a question about
absolutely.
About Swift. I feel like he's one of the most polarizing players this offseason. I've seen him go as high as 5th overall and like late as mid-2nd round. Was Swift, were you hoping he was going to fall to you, or was it just that's the value you're hoping to get him for?
Yeah, I mean, I think he is deservedly in the top 6 running backs, especially in PPR formats. The passing upside is undeniable, and even in a committee, he's shown to have RB1 production just off of receptions alone, and essentially a contingency plan, because I really did think that Diggs was going to be there at 112. So if I'm going to stack 2 running backs back to back there, it's going to be somebody that is a massive upside swing pick like Saquon, who has RB1 overall potential, and then somebody like Swift, who is essentially guaranteed an 8 reception floor when he's healthy.
Yeah. I also see Scott in here saying that 6th spot is not really affected by 3rd round reversal. That's true. If you're in one of those middle picks as well, you get the benefit of this just almost feeling like a normal draft. Doesn't affect you too much. We got Peaked in here. What's up, Peaked? Alex, he says, sorry I'm late. 11 minutes of ads. Insane. Yeah.
Wow.
And we upped that just for you, actually. It's just on your computer that you get 11 minutes of Mattress Firm ads. Oh, yeah. Right. 3rd round reversals. So
yeah, you know what? I'll do this.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Let's see.
So I want to answer Swamp's question real quick because it was a little bit back there. So my Jimmy John's league, hope you're having fun at work, has 3 flex, so pick 3. I'm guessing that's Jamal Williams, or no, that's probably
Javonte.
DK, because it said flex. So yeah, Ramondre Stevenson, Cordell Patterson, Kadarius Toney, Treylon Burks, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Tolbert, and Tyler Algier. Wow, I got all those names right. Let's go. So we got to pick 3 there. I think Javonte is definitely one.
Javonte's a lock for sure for me.
Yeah.
After that, it does get a little. There's some names I can cross off easily. Know what I mean? Like it's not Tolbert for me. It's not Algier. Those guys I can cross off. It's probably not Garrett Wilson until I see this Jets offense like produce something. Like then I might be more willing to plug him into that flex, but I'm not confident in the Jets offense. So then it really comes down to 2 of DK, Ramondre, Patterson, Toney, and potentially Burks in my eyes. That's close though. That's close. I'm probably going DK and Patterson. But I could be talked into some of these other guys. Ooh, and I'm back on the clock.
Awesome. So
you know what my biggest problem with taking Jamar Chase in the 1st round is?
Tell us.
Feeling that just slight hesitancy to also draft T. Higgins in the 3rd round.
I would have no issues.
So
I have no issues.
It's just that slight, like, do I take him? But he's my highest ranked guy by far, so I think I'm going to do it.
Yeah, you do.
But every time I take Jamar Chase, I have that thought, if T. Higgins falls to me a little bit, then I'm like, should I double up? But sure, maybe it caps that upside a little bit. But this offense is so high-powered that I'm not too concerned about it.
Yeah, it feels like you've almost got 30 points a week guaranteed. and you just don't know if it's going to be Chase 20, Higgins 10, and even probably more than 30. But 30 seems like the floor between those two combined.
Yeah.
Let's see. So
also, I saw
Simon, you're going
Joseph
zero
ask.
RB.
Maybe we'll see. I wouldn't quite call this
seems
zero
like it.
RB yet. Know what I mean? Like there's still running backs on the board. Like if I take a running back next round, I don't really consider this like a true zero RB style draft, like a modified zero RB. If we get into that, like I may still know what I mean. I don't know if I'm gonna go zero RB. We'll see what players are sitting there on the board. But if I get to that 6th, 7th round before I take my first running back, then maybe I'll consider it. And I saw Joseph asking if we can explain 3rd round reversal. And it just means that after we go back and forth through those first 2 rounds, that instead of snaking again, the person who picked 12th in the 1st round is going to pick 1st again there in the 3rd round. So it's a way of kind of like leveling out the playing field, assuming that first pick is a big advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I love the reversal.
So everyone has a running back at this point except for Simon and Scott. So interesting. Let's say, would you guys trade Waddle and Irv Smith for Waller?
No.
He says
no,
I have
think
Sutton,
that's way
Bateman,
too much.
Higgins, and Deontay as well. PPR. No, I'm not doing that. I don't have enough confidence I don't have enough confidence in Waller this year to make that move. Matt, what do you think? Would you do that?
No, I think I would just keep Waddle. Out of that lineup, the person I would be looking to trade is probably Bateman or Sutton.
Mm-hmm.
And I would keep Waddle.
And yeah, you should be able to. Bateman or Sutton. You should be able to trade for Waller. That should be a trade that you should be able to make. And the news about Irv Smith came out today that he is going to start week 1. When I was looking at the news for the show. So
yeah,
and I am mad. I was hoping one of Ezekiel Elliott or Breece Hall would fall to me. Like I was looking at those guys hoping that I would be able to grab one of them, but it does not look. Well, it doesn't not look like that's going to happen. It's not going to happen unless I use commissioner powers to move one of those players to my team instead.
We can do that.
Oh, I absolutely could. Just
3rd is still mind-boggling to me. Like for as long as I've played fantasy, to see Ezekiel Elliott fall to the 3rd round is just
it's crazy.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense to me.
It's crazy.
Dave with some Canadian dollars in honor of Matt. Shout out Canada. Shout out
got
Dave.
the toonie for y'all.
Shout out Matt. Yeah, we got some toonies in here. Thank you so much, Dave. Or one toonie right there. Also, Carlos had something in here for us. From Twitter, when asked the latest on the Gordon Javonte split, Broncos insider Ben Albright said Javonte owners are gonna be mad. They're gonna be mad. Joey, I feel like we've talked about this quite a bit on the show at some point, but where do you stand on that Javonte Melvin Gordon debate on those guys?
You know, I mean, I think Javonte is going to lead the backfield. I mean, not like maybe like a 60-40 split. But at the same time, if I believe the contract for Melvin Gordon's only 1 year. So in my other part of my mind, I'm wondering, okay, are they going to run Gordon to the ground as much as they can? And then next year's the Javonte year. But you've got that kind of talent. You want to win games. I think Javonte's going to have a great season. I'm not that mad or worried about him. Uh-oh.
I'm worried about him just where he's being drafted. Like at the end of the 2nd round, like what is that? How many running backs were taken before him? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you're basically drafting him to be, this is a little bit lower than I've seen him go actually. So I'm a little bit more comfortable with this, but I feel like usually you're drafting him as a top 12 running back. Like you're drafting him as one of these top 12 guys are right on the edge there. And it just makes so much sense for the Broncos not to give him the entire workload, for them to keep splitting, like best case scenario, 65-45. Melvin Gordon's still a great running back. They paid him to bring him back. I love Javonte. I love him as a talent. I love him in Dynasty. I just don't think this is the year that we get RB1 Javonte Williams, where we get like a top 12 season out of him, because Melvin Gordon's going to get that work, in my eyes at least. Matt, do you agree with me, or do you think I'm stupid?
Yeah, no, I do agree.
Or both.
I think there's something to be said about it. I study a lot of contracts. I think it's one of the things that kind of gives me a little bit of a benefit in Dynasty, is actually having just a basic understanding of the way that contracts work. And with the way that new Russ deal is set up too, like Javonte is the only one on that offense on a 5-year rookie, or with the 5th-year option in a rookie deal. So yeah, I think they're going to run Melvin Gordon into the ground to be able to save their super stud for when that guy leaves and he's fresh still, and they don't have money to put depth behind him.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I saw a question in here from Joseph. It said Mixon for Devontae Adams PPR. Rest of the team is CMC, Swift, Dillon, and Sanders. Wide receivers are Cook, St. Brown, Hollywood, Mooney, and Godwin. So Mixon for Devontae Adams, given that lineup. Joey, do you like this?
I like his wide receiver. Just 1 second. Yeah, I like his running backs a lot. This is, Alex peaked in high school. He's got these great trade charts. I would look at that if I were to make this trade, and I feel like those two guys, last time I looked, are pretty close to each other. So I would actually make this trade. And I do like Brandon Cooks as a wide receiver too, if you can have him. And probably like the last option, a wide receiver 1. So yeah, if you could get Adams to pair with that, that'd be great.
Yeah, with CMC and Swift to back that up, I would be fine. Yeah. That's for sure.
Man, that is it's tough because I'm very high on Mixon for this year, but given your team build, I think it makes sense. Like in a vacuum, give me Mixon over Devontae Adams 10 out of 10 times. But yeah, Dylan, I think, is the final piece for me that makes me okay with this, right? Like there's CMC and Swift, and it's not that I'm wildly high on Dylan, but even if something happens to one of those guys, you've got an RB2 level player that you can plug and play. So it's not like if one of those top two guys goes down, you're just screwed because you traded Joe Mixon away. You've still got AJ Dillon sitting there as a perfectly fine starter in fantasy. Maybe you're not thrilled with it like you would be with Mixon plugging in that spot, but still a good starter, someone who should be starting in every single league. I want to back on the
Simon, pick another receiver. I want to see if we can make a full round.
All the receivers right here just look so sexy, but the problem is I'm out of flex spots. I guess I could keep on
pick your
building
first
that
bench
out,
before your one running back.
Yeah, before my RB1. But you know what? The running back that I almost selected in the last round fell back to me, so I'm going to take him. Josh Jacobs is going to be my first running back.
Matt,
I know
how do you
worries
feel
about, sorry, go ahead.
I was asked Matt how he feels about Juju this year. Because I saw you took him as your wide receiver too.
Yeah. Well, my wide receiver 1, because I think, I love Marquise Brown, and he's one of my, one of my most polarizing like players to be really high on. But man, the year that Tyreek Hill was wide receiver 2 in points per game, he only had a 20.4% target share, and Juju has a career target share of 21.9, even with all of the injuries and the decline of Ben. And I know that skewed from when Ben was still at his height, but I think Juju's points per game ceiling is wide receiver 1 on a Patrick Mahomes offense, because those other wide receivers are just not it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen, I thought you froze for a second. No, we've seen Mahomes support a wide receiver 1. So I like what you're saying there. Juju is what player that's really risen up for me in the last couple of weeks.
Me too. He's like at the end of this offseason, he's the player that's probably risen the most in my rankings, and the guy that maybe I wasn't drafting as much during the offseason, but during draft season, I've just been getting Juju on so many teams. There's not many wide receivers in that range that could be like a top 5 wide receiver if things go right. Know what I mean? I'm not sitting here saying Juju's a top 5 wide receiver. But if he is that true number 1 wide receiver in the Kansas City offense, he could be. Like, that's in the range of outcomes. That's not happening with Brandon Cooks. That's not happening with Amari Cooper. And I'm sorry, it's not happening with Gabriel Davis either. Like wide receivers going in that range, it's just not happening. So Juju is it's a real high upside, but I don't think it's that risky of a pick there in that range either.
So
Tim took the only other guy in that range that has legitimate wide receiver 1 upside, I think. And that was my hesitance on the clock was Michael Thomas. And I am a Saints fan as well. But Thomas's lowest points per game finish was wide receiver 7 in his rookie season. And I know it's been a year and a half, but it's almost impossible to project anything lower for that guy.
Oh man.
He just hasn't done anything but be a wide receiver 1. So it's really difficult to be like, wide receiver 31 in points per game.
Yeah, when I was looking at his 2019 season, it was obscene. It was absolutely obscene. 149 receptions. Literally, he scored, I think, over 120 points more than the wide receiver 2 that season. Right. It's absolutely insane. And with Jameis throwing to him, he can do it again.
I mean, right? I love that offense this year. Worried about the O-line for sure, especially if Penning's just all preseason has just had the worst luck of injuries. So yeah, it's tough, but I really like that offense. And I think, especially in that range, there's very few players that have wide receiver 1 upside.
And those are 2 of them. And whenever I was going through, I wanted to just name every player after Juju and say they weren't in it. But the very first one I saw was Michael Thomas. I was like, huh? He probably could. So I just skipped him and went to Brandon Cooks and Amari Cooper and Davis. Because immediately my point was disproven whenever I looked at the next name on there. I was like,
that was rude. Yes, I love
you. Justin, that is payback for me taking CeeDee Lamb, I think. He said earlier that I sniped him. Darnell Mooney has been my absolute favorite, like wide receiver
Yeah.
3 or 4 to draft. The volume is so safe. And then if Fields takes any step forward, 140 targets, and if that efficiency gets any better, like, God, he's got top 15 upside, right? Like with the volume alone, that offense just needs to get a little better.
Yes, 160 targets is essentially his floor of
It's
opportunities.
insane, absolutely absurd that's a number that we're saying is like a floor.
They're going to be good targets.
I don't even think that should not even be considered crazy whatsoever. It's probably closer to like 170, but
Oh
So
God,
we went on a big run there without any tight ends, and then Schultz and Waller went back to back. Do you guys
which I
think-
like the order
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Do you do?
I-
Okay, excellent.
Yes. Yeah.
So Gallup coming back doesn't scare you off from Schultz at all? It doesn't for me.
It's
I'm
a
just
Gallup.
curious if it scares you off from Schultz as much as about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Dalton Schultz, and it's definitely a little bit of like personal bias because I was in on him really early and like kind of saw it coming, and then tight end 11 in points per game, and then tight end 5. So yeah, I do really like Schultz, and I think that's fair because like we've seen it time and time again, guys. The first season back from an ACL are a lot less effective than 10 weeks into that first season back or even the next season. I mean, Dalvin Cook and the list goes on and on. That's just kind of how the process goes for the rehab. So yeah, I think he's the wide receiver 2 essentially, and he'll run us so many snaps out of the slot.
Excellent. Yeah, I like the value that both Scott and Kabosh got
Oh my
there.
God.
Look
That
at these
Kyler pick
runs
hurts.
in this
I know.
draft.
This is
so
just
bad.
like there's just blocks of blue and now a block
Yeah.
of red. This has been a draft of runs. It's been crazy.
I was going to
I
bring
was
that
so
up. It was
surprised.
16 out of 20 picks there that went
Oh my God.
wide receiver in the middle from the
I
middle.
was
of
so
the
surprised
fourth.
that quarterbacks were faded it as far as they were past ADP, and then all of them went in a row. So that's definitely disappointing.
I
Well, yeah,
thought about
that's
grabbing one there, but I was
stressing me
like,
out
they're
now.
all still left. Like all of these top
Yeah, I
tier
know.
guys besides Josh Allen are left. I can wait around and I'll get one of Mahomes, Herbert, or Jackson on the way back, and then nope, they're all gone. Is what
Simon,
Yeah, I
you're
really
the-
would have liked Kyler for that stack with Marquise there.
I don't know. This is a panic pick. I'm
Got you.
continuing the streak.
Simon,
All right,
you're the winner of the next question since
Then I'll
you're
just
the
do
furthest
this.
away. James question: who do you like most for Week 1? AJ Dillon versus Minnesota, or Patterson, New Orleans, or Melvin Gordon versus Seattle? Thanks. I'll take your question. I'll take your answer off the air.
Okay, thank you. You'll take my answer off the air, then I'll give it to you off the air. I'm just kidding. This is a tough one. These guys are all in a similar range. My gut, I would man. I'm assuming this is in your RB2 spot. This may not be the popular answer right here. One of these guys I expect to be the primary starting running back in their offense and has receiving work that's guaranteed to come their way, I feel like. And that was Cordero Patterson. I think I'm plugging in Cordero Patterson for Week 1. AJ Dillon and Melvin are good options. I wouldn't be upset if I had to start either of them. In fact, on this team that I'm drafting right now, those guys I would be thrilled. Like if I can get Melvin Gordon late and start him Week 1, if J.K. Dobbins is out, like I would be super happy with that. But I'm going CP on this one. I'm going CPAT.
Tim, what about you?
The Falcons can't score points on the Saints. I don't know what
I
it
was
is.
gonna-
They just can't. So I would go.
I mean,
AJ
almost
Dillon.
nobody can.
Well, yeah, that's also true. I do like Melvin versus Seattle, but I have AJ Dillon, so I'm biased. And I also had Melvin, so I'm less biased. I got rid of him. So AJ all the way.
Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I kind of do think it's AJ Dillon there. And like just a little fun stat because I was just writing about it is the Saints have allowed only one 100-yard rusher in the last 3 seasons, and that was Miles Sanders. Because that Philly O-line is nasty.
What's up, JL? I see JL.
Hi, JL.
Yo, welcome in, JL. Glad to have you in the chat. Nice of you to join us.
What's he looking at in his picture? He's looking off to the side, looking real sly.
Oh, it's me.
So,
me.
Joe, you told me to keep an eye on Irv because of his injury. On waiver, there's Irv Smith, Cameron Brate, and Mo Alley Cox. Of those play, I shouldn't say injuries, but you know what? That might have been a podium clip. There might be something to that. No, I would pick up Irv Smith out of those options there, especially with the news today that Irv Smith is going to play Week 1 or is likely very much expected. I believe is what the article said, which is terrible writing. So they probably didn't say that. That's probably
Likely
me.
very much.
Yeah. But no, Irv Smith, I would go with Irv Smith. I think Kyle Rudolph could end up being the best tight end in that Bucs offense, which is yucky to say, but
I also
Brait
think
always sneaks out and finds a way to do well. So you never know. Justin, also here is my team 10-man PPR thoughts. Let's see. Let's give him a grade. Lamar, the quarterback, CMC at running back, Barkley, AJ Dillon. Is that Dalvin Cook or
I'm gonna guess
James Cook
based on the
Yeah,
order that
Melvin
these
Gordon,
players-
Nyheim Hines, and Darrell Henderson. I like that Hendo pick there at the end. Wide receivers is Pittman, A-Rob. Woo, love A-Rob. Sutton, Juju, Olave, and tight end Kelsey. I feel like you're just coming here to
That's such a
brag.
great team.
Hot.
Yeah, that
Justin,
was,
you
yeah.
just wanted to
raw
hear us
motivation.
say, you just wanted to hear us say, oh, Justin, you're so good at fantasy football. You're so good.
So
Just
you're-
kidding, but seriously, you drafted a great team. This
Absolutely.
Yeah,
even in a
that's-
10-man
yeah.
league. this
10
is-
man. I was
this
just
is
about to say
stacked.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stack team.
And your wide receiver, somebody might say, oh, you don't have a top 12 wide receiver. And I think you do. I think Pittman could very well be a top 12 wide receiver. But really, your wide receiver one is Travis Kelce. So you are
Yep.
looking so good here. I love this team.
Also, Scott quoting you, Psych Ward, Miles Sanders
No,
RB1.
that's not
Yeah.
what was
Direct quote from Matt, Miles Sanders RB1 overall.
Destroy the New Orleans Saints. The only
So, yeah,
running
it
back
was.
to do
I would.
so.
I mean, I'll always remember that game too. It just made no sense. Like consistent under 70-yard rushers like all season, and then Miles Sanders and that O line just plowed
Because
through. 'em.
Miles Sanders is a great running back that the Eagles just
He's
refuse
incredibly
to give
efficient
a feature,
rusher.
just so
Yep.
good. Every time that they give him that expand, I'm like, oh, he's so good. Surely they're going to give him all the work, right? Like without a doubt. And then they never do. Just never happens, which is that might be the most frustrating player in fantasy football for me is Miles Sanders because
He's one of them for sure.
he's so good. He's so good. And usually those are the kind of players you're like, well, it'll come eventually because he's so talented. Eventually he has to have that feature role, but just maybe not on the Eagles. That's not how that offense works.
Luckily, as a dynasty manager, at least, he is out of contract there soon enough and still young enough that you don't have to worry about selling off an age cliff.
Let's go, Scampers. That's what
No,
we
it
like to
wasn't
see.
Scampers. I didn't
Good pick,
see a
Cam.
pick by Carlos there at the end, Joe Burrow. I really thought Joe Burrow might sneak back to me in that next round. And then
No
I saw
stack.
Scott's question in the chat, and I was trying to avoid bringing it up until my pick. Know what I mean? I'm not always looking to stack, but I have both of the top two receiving options on the Bengals. It would have been really nice to add Joe Burrow onto that team with that. Maybe I should have gone Burrow instead of Lazard there, but I thought I could have the best of both worlds.
Regardless of format, the answer is always Joe Burrow over Alan Lazard, man.
I disagree. Just because of the quarterbacks I can get later as well. I can grab an Aaron Rodgers or something a little bit later, but man, this sucks. This just makes me really sad.
Walk us through your frustration, Simon. Let's
Well,
watch you
it's-
tilt on air.
God, now I'm just looking at this and nothing seems good enough right now. Absolutely nobody seems worth my pick at this point, and it's only because I was fully expecting on taking Joe Burrow. I don't even know where I'm going to go here. Let's click on wide receivers. I hate all of you. Let's click on running backs. I hate all of you as well. Every single one of you.
This is good. This is good.
I'll
content.
take one more.
I hate
player.
your face. I hate
We'll
your
take
face.
the guy that
Love
I just
it.
said you could start. I'm going to take Cordero Patterson, a starting running back for an NFL team, even if it is just the shell of the Falcons.
Simon, I don't
starting wide
think that was-
receiver.
And starting wide receiver, yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad move. Like yesterday, I made an error during the mock draft where I was like, oh, I shouldn't have taken that running back because everybody after me, or no, I shouldn't have taken that wide receiver because everyone after me is going to take running back, and I needed running back. Where, I imagine you looked at the second half of that draft there and you saw that 5 out of those 6 teams have quarterbacks right now. And most likely they're not going to take a second. So a quarterback's probably going to fall back to you.
Probably, unless Matt's got something to say about it. Double taps quarterbacks on the end, grabs
Yeah,
2 of the
right.
guys.
I hope he does. I hope that I walked right into that because that would just be good.
I mean,
I did double tap quarterback for the first time this offseason. I waited a while on QB. It was a 1 QB league. I don't often do that, but I waited late. I grabbed Tua, and then in the next round, Justin Fields was staring there looking at me. And Justin Fields and Trey Lance, some of these guys with high upside that are going late, I'm fine if you want to grab one of them as a second QB and put them on their bench because there's top 5 upside. Know what I mean? We've seen it time and time again from these rushing QBs. So if I can grab a guy I feel more comfortable with, like a Tua, Derek Carr, a Kirk Cousins, and then pair them with a Justin Fields late, I'm cool with it. And so that was the first time I'd done that, put it into practice, but it felt good. I was like happy about those picks.
Yeah, I used to write an article about the quarterback tandem strategy with double tapping in the double rounds on quarterback, and I used to love doing it. One of my favorite years was I double tapped with Ben Roethlisberger and Andrew Luck in like the 11th and 12th round, and ended up winning me a championship.
Yeah,
so let's see. Matt,
Scott in here saying that he hates when he uses that logic, Joey, and someone inexplicably takes a second QB early. It happens. What you got to remind yourself there is that they're doing that probably to the detriment of their team.
So I was looking at Clyde Edwards, and I've been so off of him for so long that I could not physically push the button to take him. So I just avoided and panic picked Robert Woods there. But
I like the Robert Woods pick.
I don't think it's a bad pick, but
I just
the wide receiver one.
You were like, Clyde Edwards as RB23 is near disrespectful at this point. I'll just do it. Like, I mean, I've already got 2 studs at the top. So now is roughly the area that I would just be looking for upside running backs to put on the bench. So it's like, okay, I'll take a starting running back in Kansas City's offense.
Absolutely.
And that's why I took James Cook. Like I believe in him thoroughly to take over that job at some point. They were looking for a receiving back, and he's gonna be it. He's electric. He's got the genes of Dalvin Cook running through his body, and he's going to be running. Mostly
red
blue.
pleated Levi's.
Do you think Dalvin's going to want those jeans back?
Is it raw?
It's like a Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants situation they have going on there. Or?
Well, yeah, as Dalvin starts to fade from the Vikings, usually it goes from blue to purple though, which is interesting. The Bills to the Vikings, so it's a little bit reversed. It's the Benjamin Buttons on the jeans.
Do the jeans have Benjamin Buttons on them?
They do.
Buttons that say Benjamin on them.
Absolutely.
We're going off the rails now. I love it. That's what I'm waiting for the whole show.
What would Benjamin Button buttons be? Like, what would they become? Would they start off as buttons and then eventually your pants just have like melted plastic on the or buttons?
They start off as zippers and then they slowly.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Because zippers definitely came later. I would have had.
And then
that's what I'm thinking.
No. It would start as Velcro because it's like a little like kids learn with Velcro first.
There's multiple ways we could go with this progression.
And then it would go back to Velcro because, old people, they need Velcro.
Do old people need Velcro? Is that a thing?
Listen, I turned 40 and all of a sudden everything in my house is Velcro.
Yeah, Skechers fit shoes or whatever they are.
My girlfriend and I got to a debate the other day because we've got a Velcro thing that holds like a plug strip up on the wall. And I will remove it and put it somewhere else to make it easier and then put it right back. And she's like, you have to stop using it so much. And I was like, she's like, the Velcro is going to get worn out. And I was like, well, why did we put Velcro on? And if I wasn't supposed to use it, I think we're misunderstanding the point of Velcro here. Like if that was supposed to be stationary, we should have just like glued that shit to the wall, like just thrown it up there. Know what I mean? Like you're going to tell me we put Velcro on it and I'm not supposed to rip the Velcro off. Like I'm supposed to just leave it. If I see something with Velcro, I'm going to unvelcro it at least once.
That's a phenomenal Rondale Moore pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Simon, I like your Tom Brady.
Oh, everybody else likes Rondale. Yes. No berating.
He's got a great catch percentage. I brought that up once, and boy, did I get hammered for saying that.
I'm glad you have more followers than me because I brought that up once too, and nobody said anything. So I got away with it.
You'd be glad because the people they weren't very nice when I said it, and I was kind of saying
I would imagine
way cheeky because he catches a lot of pass behind the line. But ooh boy, people were not happy with me. All right, Joseph, need help picking my last flex for week 1. Options are AJ Dillon, Hollywood Brown, Darnell Mooney. He's garbage, so just get him out of there. And Chris Godwin.
I will fight you so hard.
Also have Amon St. Brown at wide receiver 2, which can change. Well, yeah, I would actually. So last flex.
I can tell you guys who they're playing if you want.
Start Hollywood.
Yes, please. Yeah, I like Hollywood a lot.
I might start.
Well, they play Kansas City for week 1.
Ooh, yeah.
Who do the Bears play week 1? Simon?
The Bears play San Francisco week 1, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know how I know this off the top of my head, man. I've been gambling way too much.
I wouldn't start Godwin just because they might start him off slow this year. So, man.
And then Dylan plays
probably
Minnesota.
Would be Hollywood. He's gonna, especially if Ertz doesn't play. Hollywood might see 15 targets in that game. So
Yeah, I think it's Hollywood for me, even as the Mooney guy. Like, I love Darnell Mooney, but I think I'm going Hollywood in this matchup. Mooney would probably be my 2, followed by Dylan, and then followed by Godwin last, only because there's uncertainty on how they're going to phase him back into this offense after the injury.
So
But
now I'm wondering
if he's a full go week 1, start Godwin over all these guys every single week in my mind. Like, if you see him out on the field and he looks good, then Godwin is ultimately your flex until further notice. Like, matchup proof, I don't care.
Yeah, set it and forget it until bye week 100%.
Oh, that's my pick.
I truly believe the Bucks are starting Godwin off slow, and he's going to be somebody that if they do that, I'm going to be trying to trade everybody for Chris Godwin. So now when I send you a trade, you've now have it on on stream that I said that. But honestly, I'm actually wondering, so AJ Dillon over Amon-Ra St. Brown in week 1.
I was going to say,
you can't swap it. Yeah.
I was going to put Hollywood in the wide receiver too.
Yep. Wide receiver 2. Exactly. That's actually smart.
Yep. And then I would actually, put Hollywood in your wide receiver 2 and then start AJ Dillon in the flex.
Yep.
Man, I am unhappy. I was really hoping to get Melvin Gordon there, but I'm not going to get Melvin Gordon, am I? No. So
no, Melvin Gordon went 2 picks before you, Simon. That's
almost.
Yeah, I believe Detroit also plays Philly in week 1.
Yeah, which is why I don't trust that.
Yeah, that's a much improved defense, man. People are sleeping on it.
I see Carlos put his team in here for us to rate. He said 10-team PPR, 6th pick, QBs Brady Lawrence, running backs Najee Harris, Alvin Kamara, Damian Pierce, Chase Edmonds, E.T. Penny, and Madison. Wow. Man, got enough running backs there, Carlos? And then wide receivers, Pittman, Mike Williams, Juju, Hollywood, and the tight end is Muth.
That's a good team.
Carlos, I would actually, you are loaded at running back. If one of the teams in your league is strong at tight end but weak at running back, maybe package Muth and say Penny to get a Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce. They probably won't make that trade, but you've definitely got enough running back depth. Mm-hmm. Yeah, or Kittle. Yeah, I bet Penny and Muth.
I know people are a little worried about that injury, but George Kittle when he's on the field is just arguably the best tight end.
He is.
Yeah, and he probably won't come off because of how good he is at blocking too. So he'll be on the field.
Yeah.
The only concern for Kittle this year for me, one, like, we know how he likes to play football. He plays like Mike Williams. He plays like these guys that just put their body on the line every single play. It doesn't matter if it's for 3 yards or 300. He's gonna go for it like his life depends on it. The other concern being Trey Lance. We don't necessarily know what this passing game is going to look like with Trey Lance behind center. We saw little pieces last year, but that was as a rookie and not in an offense that was built with him in mind at quarterback, just having him plugged in there. So I'm still drafting Kittle in this range. I would still be willing to trade for him here, but there are the concerns with a new quarterback in there. Did you get sniped, Tim?
Yeah, those last 2 picks, I wanted Henderson or Gallup at that point. Hedge Akers a little bit, but I really like Gallup coming back.
I almost grabbed Henderson with my pick. That was almost where I went there. I know Joey loves Henderson this year.
Yeah, I do, because I do not like Cam Akers. So
I love Cam Akers, so I'm not worried about that. But
you know what we should do? We should draft next to each other, and then you take Cam Akers, and I'll take Henderson. We'll both be happy.
That's fair.
Yeah, Simon, you made an interesting pick in the 10th round. Hunter Henry. Yeah. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, spoiler alert, I'm going to draft another tight end. Okay. I'm going to draft another tight end probably in the last round. But Hunter Henry is a guy that I'm fully comfortable starting week 1. Know what I mean? I can throw him out there and I'm just good to go with Hunter Henry until further notice. Like, he's fine. He's going to threaten for double digit touchdowns again this year. Probably. He was second in the team in targets for the Patriots last season. And then it's the Coupe fiasco tight end strategy. Grab a safe guy. And then at the end of the draft, grab one of these super high upside guys that could take that jump into being like a top 5 tight end, someone who could be the second target on their team that we're unsure of, an Evan Ingram, a David Njoku, someone like that. So I'm going to probably grab one of those high upside guys with one of my last 2 picks and have a tight end duo where I roll out Hunter Henry week 1 and then see what happens with that high upside guy. Either make him my go-to starter or cut him, pick up someone else.
Love it. Do you promise if you take Evan Ingram that you'll, even though I don't want to give Coop any more attention than he deserves on any shows, because listen, he had 3 hours this morning and shouldn't get any more time. But will you promise to yell his name if you take Evan Ingram?
Oh yeah, of course. Actually, there's no other way to draft
everyone on the show. That's the Evan Ingram rule. You have to yell Coop.
Scampers, take Evan Ingram.
Scampers drafts after me. I've got one more shot. I could ruin it.
I know you've got one shot. Are you gonna double tap tight end?
Do we need to play some M&M for you, Simon?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
if
I
you
got one
could,
shot.
just
Nice. Pump you up.
super loudly. Scott in here
Make
saying
a-
Ingram or
an on-brand
Njoku
pick.
late is the move.
Mhm.
And we got Akash in here. What's up? He said,
I
hello,
forgot I
Tim,
had a-
Joey,
Hey,
Matt, and
Akash.
Simon.
What's up,
Welcome
Akash?
in, Akash.
It's
Hope
our
you're doing well,
airport
man.
buddy.
I know. We spent too much time together at the Charlotte
Yeah,
airport.
too
It
much
wasn't
time.
enough time with Akash and Joey, but it was too much time at the Charlotte airport.
Yes.
Is what it was.
And the
Joey,
Akron airport.
Joey, the best part was you got to spend a little bit extra time because some lady stole your bag at the gate and
Yes.
ran away with it.
Yeah. I had a 45 minutes to connect to my flight, and I had to run to the next terminal over, which was like a good 20-minute jog. And if you've seen me, I'm not in jogging shape. So I run to my gate and I say to Simon, watch for my bag. I'm going to run to my gate to make sure, because everything at that time was delayed because of lightning. Well, I run to my gate and Simon's like, still don't see it. I get back there and my bag has never come off. And a lady walks up. She's like, I'm so sorry, and rolls it up, and I missed my flight. But I got to hang with Simon and Akash for like 4 hours.
The best part, the bags like weren't even the
No.
same at all. Like
They were
they were both in the
shades of
red,
red.
family. Yeah, like they were not the same shade. They were both red-ish, but
Yeah.
on about as opposite of reds as you could get. Like they weren't even like
Pink and
similar.
mahogany.
Not the same brand. It was.
One was
down
zippers,
bad.
one was Velcro.
One was
I'm pretty sure
Benjamin
Joey has a Velcro suit, if I remember correctly.
Yes,
right,
that's
Joey?
right. Yeah, I can't have zippers anymore, so I keep getting my fingers caught in them. But yeah, my wife was very upset. And then I got back to get my car from the airport parking, and I parked at an off lot, and they had put a car in front of mine, and the guy didn't show up for work. It was so.
I'm not playing that game. I'm not risking it. I already saw Swamp from David and Njoku. I know you guys too well. I'm not giving 5 of you the chance twice to steal the tight end that I need to make this team what I want it to be. I'm not playing that.
Simon, there was.
Oh,
a
I messed
rule.
up. Coop. Is that better?
Yeah,
little
I
late.
guess. I actually regret that rule now because I didn't want his name said on the air.
You're right. Maybe next time I just yell "idiot" at the top of my lungs. It's
That's what
similar.
I do.
You Can't Hang wants us to talk about Team 8 right
Okay,
there.
let me count.
Joey, what do you think on this one? I
All
want to
right,
give us a
I'm
run through of what that team
I'm going to
looks
give you a
like.
breakdown. So you got Justin Herbert at quarterback. He's pretty good. No, he's great. He's my QB too. You started off Henry and Adams. Both could be top 5 of their positions easily. So let's look at your running back core. Henry, Connor. I love Chase Edmonds, so I love that pick in the 7th round. Kareem Hunt. I like your running backs a lot. So I'm kind of low on Gabe Davis, but I understand. I like wide receivers. Both Gallup and Romeo have a lot of upside. So getting them late was good. Dawson Knox is a tight end.
Yeah, it's the tight end that's
I would have
uninspiring for
taken
me.
Kmet there instead of Knox personally.
Yeah, I also would have taken Kmet. I just think the upside for Kmet is so much higher. It's Darnell Mooney and Kmet. Those are going to be your target leaders in that offense. And Kmet saw close to 100 targets already last year in that offense. Now, maybe they don't throw the ball as much this year. Not that they were a heavy pass team, but I do expect Justin Fields to get more designed runs this season. But I still think the volume is going to be there for both of those guys. And then I'm with you, Joey. I wouldn't have taken Gabriel Davis. The wide receiver core isn't my favorite. It's a lot of risk. I mean, Devontae Adams, of all of the top tier guys, he's one of the riskier ones. Him and Deebo Samuel. Him because he switched teams. He's on a brand new team with a quarterback, I mean, that he's played with previously, but not in the NFL. Mike Williams is a guy that could be top 5, but could be a wide receiver too. We've seen both outputs from him. We've seen that range of outcomes. Then Gabriel Davis, again, is another super high upside guy, but I just don't think that role is going to expand. I think we're going to get from Gabriel Davis this year what we got from him last year, which is a good fantasy option, but not someone you should take in that range. So the rest of your team, I love, but the wide receiver core makes me nervous. Just makes me a little scared. When I am on the clock, what
I was going to bring
I
that
want
up.
to do
I can't
here?
pause the clock. You're digging your own grave here.
I know.
Has
I don't know
everybody
what to
taken
do.
a quarterback at this point? Let me see. Yeah, everyone has. Someone took 2. Swamp.
Okay, I'll do it. I don't know why. I'm not sure that was the right pick. I panicked. I had 5 seconds left, but the potential slot wide receiver for the Bills.
Yep.
I think there's a very real chance that Isaiah McKenzie out targets Gabriel Davis this year. And I just grabbed him in the 12th round. Like, I'm not saying he outscores him because the Gabe Davis targets are generally going to be way more valuable than the slot targets that Isaiah McKenzie's seen. But Like, that's my problem with Gabe Davis is I don't think he's going to see a lot of targets, just the same high value targets. It's the Isaiah McKenzie or the Jamison Crowder that's going to see a ton of targets because Beasley's gone. It's that role on the field. So I just can't draft Gabe Davis at cost. I can't do it. Matt, are we slandering a player you're in on? Do you like Gabe Davis this
No.
year?
No, man. I'll drop a little analytic dime for the people. Player target shares roughly level out to like 1% mean around game 40. Gabe Davis is at 10.9% at 37 games. So unless you expect him to have a 50% target share over the next 4 games of his career, he's essentially locked into being a 15% target share career guy.
Yeah. And I see you can't hang in saying, IDK, I love Gabe Davis this year. It's a feeling with him. Appreciate it though, gents. You're not alone, man. There are plenty of people in the fantasy space. Some of the smartest analysts I know that are in on Gabe Davis this year. Like, people love him and love his talent. For me, I'm out, but I understand the hype. I understand the reasons why people are in on it. Matt, you're struggling with this last pick. It looks like don't know where to go.
I know. It's true. Well, because everything for me is pretty much filled right now. So it's a bit of an insurance look at either position. I guess I still feel pretty confident streaming otherwise. So I'm just going to take Stafford.
Matthew Stafford. Take a second quarterback, what we talked about a little bit earlier.
Wow,
Yeah.
Stafford went late.
It's
That's what I mean.
That
Like,
injury.
it's
It's the pitcher injury, I think, that's pushing him down draft boards.
I just
People
forgot
are
about
mad.
it.
And honestly,
honest.
there I was. You could have flipped a coin for me, and even in my rankings, you could have flipped a coin for taking Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins has a very realistic opportunity to outscore Matt Stafford there.
Yeah.
So because I had the last pick and a little bit extra time to talk about it, I would very much consider in any league drafting Kirk Cousins over Matt Stafford.
Yeah, JL's big Kirk Cousins fan this year.
Yeah,
so
JL
I'm
loves
with
Kirk
you on that.
Cousins.
Yeah.
I mean,
Cousins fan
the guy's
number one.
literally never been
Confirm it.
anything but a QB1 and is going outside of the top 15 options. So it makes no sense. He's also in a much upgraded offense from Mike Zimmer, and we know what Justin Jefferson is, and a healthy Thielen is back. And yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins and a Kevin O'Connell built offense is going to have a Matthew Stafford season.
On a
Do you
caution,
think-
you're saying you don't even need
Lance.
Stafford or Kirk because Lance outscores both of them. And obviously you drafted Lance
I kind of
first as
agree,
well.
but
Yeah.
I actually, and I mean, I know I knew of all the people in here, Cash would hate on me for taking a second quarterback.
Guys, Matt, I wanted to thank you so much for joining us today and mock drafting with us. I really
such a
appreciate
pleasure,
it, man.
man.
It's always good hanging out with you. The only downside is every time I just get jealous of that hat over and over and over again. I want it for my
I'm gonna have
collection.
to frame it now.
Yeah. But guys, if you are not following our friend Matt on Twitter, go and fix that right now. He's on Twitter at PsychWardFF. So make sure you are following him. And Matt, another big thanks to you again. It is always a pleasure hanging out with you, my man.
Yeah, man, it was such a good time. Thanks for having me, brother.
Of course, everybody in the chat who hung out with us today and drafted along with us, thank you so much for joining. If you are not sick of us yet, me, JL, and Jay are going to be live with our friend Eric Romoff at 6 p.m. Eastern time over on the FanDuel YouTube and Twitch channels. So come hang out with us at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We're playing some poll perception over there.
Fire.
If you are sick of us, just do it with the sound off. You know what I mean? Just come over and stare at our faces for a little bit. Until then, though, we are out of here, everybody. Thank you again, Matt. Thank you again, everybody in the chat. We will see you guys in a couple hours. Adios, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Woo.